Hey, so my name is Chanel, and in today's video, I'm gonna do the hardware demonstration of Lab 4 of my embedded system design class entitled Vivafo AXI timer and interrupt. So as you can see, I just run the board and all the switches. Let me turn all this on, off. So as you can see, all the switches are off, and then if I press a button, nothing is gonna happen. See, the interrupt LED are ignoring the button interrupt, as we can see. So I'm gonna start from task 4, 5, and then go down to 1. So for task 4, in order for the button interrupt to implement, we needed to turn switch 0 on. So if I turn switch 0 on, LEDs are gonna increment for 2 seconds and then go back to the timer. So let's see. So right now the LEDs are 4 because the reset the default interrupt counter was 3. So that was good. So if I press button 0, it's going to increment to 5 for like 2 seconds, then go back to the timer. So now it's 5 seconds, then go back to the timer. 6, go back to the timer. 7. So when it reaches 7, it's not going to go further according to the lab instruction. So if I press it, it's still going to say 7. So if I want to determine the button interrupt with, I'm going to have to turn switch 1 on. So if I turn it on, and I wrote the code such that I don't have to like turn switch 0 on off in order to determine the button interrupt. So I can work with switch 0 and switch 1 on at the same time. So if I want to determine it, since switch 1 is already on, I'm gonna have to press button 1. Since the last count was at 7, it's gonna go down to 6. So let's see. As you can see, it's at 6. So I mean it's working. It's gonna stay 6 for 6 seconds and then for 2 seconds and then go back to the timer. So if I press it again, it's gonna go at 5. So as you can see, it's at 5 for 2 seconds, then go back to the timer. If I press it again, it's gonna go at 4. So 4, yeah. And then if I press it again, it's gonna go at 3. 3. And then if I press it again, it's gonna go at 2. 2. If I press it again, it's gonna go at 1. So when it's reached 1, it's not going lower than 1 according to the lab instruction. So if I press it again, it's gonna be at 1. As we can see, it's the interrupt counter is still at 1, so that means it's working. So for taxis, but we had to ignore button 2 and button 3. So if I press button 2 or button 3, nothing is gonna happen. The interrupt counter is just ignoring button 2 and button 3. So and then if I turn, since switch 0 and 1 are already on, if I turn switch 2 on, the interrupt counter, the LEDs are going to start flashing because that's the error condition. LEDs are going to start flashing on and off for 1 second. So let's see. So I just turned switch 2 on, and the LEDs are in the error state, though the LEDs flash for 1 second on, for 1 second off. So if I turn the switch 0 and 1 off, the LED is now going to be at the default condition, that means at 3. As you can see, it's at 3 without pressing any button. as we can see. So in order to make sure, check that if the reset condition is the interrupt counter is really at the reset value, which is 3. So I'm gonna turn switch 0 on. So if I press button 0, since the interrupt counter is now 3, it's gonna be at 4 if I press it. So let's see. So I press it and then interrupt is at 4. So if I press it again, it's gonna go at 5. As you can see. Yeah, we'll get capacitors. So switch 3 is the enabler disabler switch. So if I turn switch 3 on, it's going to disable the button interrupt. So that means now switch 1 is on. So switch 1 is on, but if I press button 1, it's supposed to increment the button interrupt. So now it's not going to do anything. It's just ignoring. Timer is just ignoring. So same thing for button 1. So if I turn switch 2 on, since and it's supposed to determine. So as we can see, timer is going to ignore the interrupt. So this is working. So if I want to enable it again, I'm gonna turn switch 3 off. So if I turn switch 3 off and then I press switch 1, it's gonna increment. As you can see, it was at 7, so it's not gonna go further than 7. So if I press button 1, it's gonna go lower, so 6. So as you can see, it's at 6. And then if I press it again, it's gonna be at 5. So as you can see, it's at 5. Yeah, and so forth. So that pretty much all the tasks. So yeah, so if I turn this, it's gonna start flashing. If I turn it, it's gonna set the interrupt counter to the default value, which is 3. And then if I turn it off, the time is gonna go back again. And if I press button 0, it's gonna be at 4, since the default is already at 3. So thank you guys.